Hello again. Happy Friday. Happy off date week. Hope you have a full Saturday of college football watching that doesn't have to rely solely on the Buckeyes playing on tap for you this weekend. It is a Freaky Friday on the podcast. So Jeremy Birmingham is over there, probably with his finger. It's not touching the soundboard. We're safe.
Are you?
For now. And that's Bill Landis, and I am Austin Ward. Always great to be with you all. We have another update coming on a Freaky Friday interview with the women's volleyball team, which continues its role. They won on Wednesday night at Minnesota. They are at home this weekend against mighty Rutgers. But we have to get into bold predictions. Well, there's no game on Saturday, so what do? We just spin it forward. These are bold predictions for the second half of the season for the Ohio State Buckeyes. And as the leader from the first half, not the king. I guess people don't like it when we talk about royalty on this show. I just will say, let's vote on Berm going first. We do. You're right. I should have known.
I don't think that people are anti-royalty. I think they're anti-fake royalty, and you continuing to claim that you're the king when there is no such validation for that claim. Okay, but that makes sense. But I'll go first.
Wait a minute. Is there any validation for any king to ever claim a throne? I think that's the whole problem, right?
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I'm not a history buff. Bill, before we get started, you were going to say what?
Do we need to revisit our preseason poll predictions?
I don't remember mine, so
I have them.
Not. Oh, you do? You got them written down? Okay, well let's start.
Why don't you think I've been doing for the last 40 minutes?
Why don't you read those off?
Sure. Okay. I just feel like we do a lot of critiquing on this podcast, so we might as well critique ourselves sometimes.
Let's do that.
Accountability. Here are Austin's. Jackson Smith and Jigba will finish with 130 receptions. He currently has 4.
He's about to go on a tear starting next week. Look out. Okay. Yeah, hey, I did not look into the crystal ball and foresee a week 1 injury. I'm going to have to wear that.
Again from Austin, Cameron Martinez will return a punt for a touchdown. Jackson Smith and Jigba will return a punt for a touchdown. And Emeka Ibuka will return a kickoff for a touchdown. I suppose all 3 of those could still happen.
They could.
I suspect they won't.
Parrish Johnson will finish with 94 pancakes. Sure. I don't know how to quantify that, but seems like it.
Can we get a pancake count? Is there someone out there that has a Parrish Johnson pancake count?
Yeah. He's already got 75. He's crushing the projection that I made.
And the last one from Austin was that C.J. Stroud will win the Heisman Trophy, probably so. With 63 total touchdowns, he currently has 24. Here are that one's in play. I think maybe not. That's
40. Well, I mean, he needs 39 more touchdowns in at most 9 games, right? So it's not inconceivable that he would reach that if he's getting 4+ a game. It's not likely.
Yeah. But okay, here are my terrible bold predictions for the season. Ohio State will have 2 shutouts against Rutgers and Arkansas State. Neither of those things happened. CJ Stroud will rush for more touchdowns than Mayan Williams. CJ currently has none, and Mayan has 8. So CJ's got some work to do. 2 players will have double-digit sacks. Ohio State as a team, I'm not sure, has double-digit sacks just yet.
No, they got 14 now because of last week.
Right. I said Jack Sawyer and Zach Harrison would be those 2. Jack currently has 2. Zach has 0. The leader is Michael Hall. That'll probably be wrong as well. And then I said they will have 2 first-team All-Americans on the offensive line, Parrish Johnson and Donovan Jackson. I think maybe one of those is likely to happen. The other not so much. And then Berms, which were actually not that bad.
Oh, no.
J.K. Johnson will lead the team with 5 interceptions.
Okay.
Probably not. He doesn't have any yet, but still on the table. Ohio State will have 2,000-yard rushers in Trevion Henderson and Mayan Williams. That is very much in play.
Yeah. I think so.
With both of them right around 500 yards.
That was a good one.
Emeka Ibuka will lead the team in receiving yards, which he is currently doing with 655. And then Steel Chambers will win the Buckeyes Award, which, again, doesn't seem very likely.
Well, but Tommy Eichenberg could, so I'm going to give myself half a point. For that.
No.
Half a point. But I think that it's nice to go back and see what we've been thinking. Clearly, the preseason is a lot of projection and trying to figure out what could happen. I put J.K. Johnson in that spot because there was obviously question marks about the health of Denzel Burke and Cam Brown. So it's turned out to be somewhat serendipitous in that respect, but so far so good, I guess. But let's talk what happens next. So I'll go first. Ohio State will finish in the top 4 of the Big Ten in basketball and get a first-round bye in the Big Ten tournament.
This is the wrong show, bud.
Wrong show?
Yeah.
Shoot. Okay. Football then. You want football?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, that's right.
All right. Well, that changes everything. I'm going to need us to take a break so I can do some research. No, I'm kidding. Of course I'm kidding.
Oh,
Got him.
He roasted us good.
Got him. Here's second half prediction. Number 1 is that CJ Stroud will not win the Heisman and that Hendon Hooker from Tennessee is going to win the Heisman. But that is obviously, about Tennessee winning this weekend against Alabama. So I'm projecting even more than I'm projecting. But
is there an age limit on the Heisman Trophy? Because Hendon Hooker's like 31, right?
I'm not sure if there's an age limit, but I don't believe so.
Okay.
Yeah. He's been in college for a while.
That's all right.
Class of 2017.
It's a real advantage. Okay, well, I was going to save this one, but I guess that I can't. Burnham has forced my hand. I obviously predicted in the preseason that CJ Stroud was going to win the Heisman. You guys kind of, said, oh, that's not really that bold. He's the odds-on favorite to win it. And I said, well, it's really hard to do that. And Burnham is bringing up a perfect example why. Other new candidates emerge throughout the year. People want to latch on to something new and shiny. Even though CJ Stroud did not win the Heisman last year, he's still very familiar to voters and was a finalist. So there will be hurdles along the way. However, CJ Stroud will eventually surpass them all. Tennessee is not able to sustain this on a week-in, week-out basis, even if they beat Alabama. Hendon Hooker will eventually fall to the wayside just like every other candidate. And CJ Stroud will not only win the Heisman Trophy, but he will garner the greatest number of percentage points in Heisman Trophy voting history. That record currently belongs to Joe Burrow. Just a touch over 93% of the points available in the voting total. CJ Stroud is going to break that record. He is the only option to win the Heisman Trophy this year for anybody paying attention.
That's a double down, drill down.
That's right.
I like it.
I like that too. I actually considered going that direction. But I don't have it down here, so you didn't steal it from me. I'm still in the game. Don't have to call an audible just yet. My first bold prediction for the second half of the season is that Marvin Harrison Jr. will tie the FBS record for receiving yards in a season, which is 27, and
receiving touchdowns.
Receiving touchdowns in a season, 27, and win the Biletnikoff Award.
Yeesh.
27 ding dongs.
18 more touchdowns on the season as we head into windy end of October, cold, snowy, rainy November. Bold. Now that's bold.
He needs to average 2 per game because they're going to play 9 more games. Well, he needs to average 2 per game.
He averages 1 hat trick every 3 games, so you can count on 2 of those. So there's 6 of that total. Pretty smart. I like where Bill's at.
He is. I looked this up as I was coming up with that. He is a third of the way to Ohio State's career record for touchdowns on 42 catches.
Seems good.
I mean, it's been remarkable to watch what he's doing because, like, when we were doing preseason bold predictions, it's like, well, we know what Marvin Harrison did in the Rose Bowl, but he's still unproven. That was like the only full game that he played. How can we spin this forward and project that he's going to be that freaking good starting in week 1 of the season? And you could argue that the Notre Dame game was maybe the worst one that he played in the first half of the year. And then he went on this ridiculous run. So he's got 3 hat tricks already. I just think that that's astounding. And we see him every Tuesday out there on that jugs machine. The stuff that Ohio State was saying after the game on Saturday against Michigan State about how hard he works, we've seen that up close. This guy never stops.
Every week, he's the guy out there.
And he's going to have more space to operate with Jackson Smith and Jibka back in the fold too.
Yeah, I think that does actually, if there's like something that changes the odds of that being correct, I think that's actually the thing that helps it because he cannot draw double teams moving forward. Not that people have been trying to double team him anytime recently, which is also kind of weird, but is there a guy who gets more like man coverage to just be one-on-one than he does? Like, why do you do that? No one's won it yet. No one's beat him once. It's annoying.
I really think Berm, that nobody has figured out how to defend this team.
Yeah, well,
like there's no good way to do it.
That is the issue, and that is why I'm going to double down on my prediction that Ohio State will have 2,000-yard rushers by the end of the season. But I'm also going to add to that they will now also have a 500-yard rusher with Dallin Hayden. So you have the 2,000-yard rushers and the 500-yard rusher with Dallin Hayden, and that's going to be in tandem with a receiving core that will have two guys that are close to 1,000 yards receiving. So it's going to be pretty special when it's all said and done.
I wonder if that's ever happened.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe like
2,000-yard rushers and 2,000-yard receivers?
No, 2,000-yard rushers and a third guy who rushes for 500 yards.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's
Maybe
probably happened. Yeah, quarterbacks that run the ball a lot or whatever. But I would think that it's never happened that there are 2,000-yard receivers and 2,000-yard rushers on the same team. But I guess ultimately that is what I'm saying is going to happen. That's the BP. That's the bold prediction.
It's amazing that Ohio State is able to do this on offense and have none of the highest graded offensive players in the country, according to PFF.
Well, you have to ask yourself, who would you rather have, Tanner Morgan or CJ Stroud? And I think everyone agrees you'd rather have CJ Stroud.
Tanner Morgan is older.
Yeah, this is like the old bold prediction show. Tanner Morgan and Hendon Hooker.
Old predictions. I mean, it's just crazy to me. Like, I know that those rankings can't be perfect. You don't have a staff anywhere that can watch every single game and grade it accurately. But come on. You don't put a single Ohio State player, the highest scoring offense in the country, on that team, let alone CJ Stroud versus Tanner Morgan. That seems like an easy eyeball test that you don't need to crunch the numbers and punch in a formula to get. I mean, guy's pretty good, and Marvin Harrison leads the country in touchdowns. So seems like there's just two options right there on a platter. But I guess Minnesota is coming off that great performance against Purdue with 10 points. So
and Emeka Egbuka leads the country in yards after the catch. I mean, there's a lot of things that these guys are doing pretty well. That's why they're undefeated and the odds-on favorite to win the national championship.
That makes sense.
What's your next BP, Austin?
Mid-season BP, number 2, Mayan Williams will finish this. He will finish the regular season, and then I'll include the Big Ten championship game, with 23 rushing touchdowns. He has 8 at this point, so I am expecting another outburst. 5 of them came in one game. He missed one with injury. He's expected to be back against Iowa. I think what Ohio State has settled on when both are available, and we saw a look at this, that it's not a series-by-series rotation. It's not been managed to the level that I was concerned about when we talked in August about multiple backs and how Tony Alford and Ryan Day would manage them. When they were both playing, Travion did a lot of damage between the 20s, and then you get inside the 20 in the red zone. Here comes Mayan Williams to finish it. Now, he's far more than a touchdown vulture. Like, we've seen that. He is one of the best backs in the country right now. But he is going to vulture them away from Travion Henderson if Travion gets taken down inside the 10. That tutty is going to go to Mayan Williams, and I think he will cap off a lot of drives here. Maybe he's actually vulturing them from CJ Stroud, and that's the problem for Bill with his preseason bold prediction. But Mayan has, to speak only for myself, definitely surpassed my expectations for what his career could become and what he could do in this offense. And it's been fun to watch his running style. And I just don't think there's anybody who wants to tackle him at the goal line.
So 15 touchdowns in the next 7 games for Mayan Williams is what
that's
you're
what
saying.
That's what I got.
Okay.
I love the idea of a red zone specialist because it's always worked out very well for this offense in the past.
Yeah. Anytime you just feel like you have to throw someone in, it works.
I'm not saying that's the only time he's going to be out there, which is why it expands the chances. I mean, sure, let's put in a Tathan package. That works out great. It actually did work when JT did it, right? Like,
yeah, it did. And they made him the starter again because they realized that was their offense. Yeah.
It was still weird that they called it the Tathan package when JT was doing it, but whatever. That's kind of weird.
Well, time is a circle.
Okay. Bold P number 2 for me is that Michael Hall will finish with 12 sacks, which, if my research is correct, will be a program record for an interior offensive lineman, or defensive lineman, excuse me. The only guys that have had more than that, or as many as that, are Mike Vrabel, Andy Katzenmoyer, Vernon Golson, Joey Bosa, and Chase Young. A dozen A dozen for Michael Hall, who I think will continue to get healthier, will continue to terrorize defenses, will continue to benefit from guys like JT Tuimoloau getting a lot of attention, as Berm said earlier this week, and also from Jim Knowles, I think, helping out his defensive line more by being a little more exotic, a little more disguised in his coverages, which I think is what we saw in the Michigan State game. The quarterback was just kind of holding the ball a little bit longer than they were in the previous games, and I think that will continue as well, and Mike Hall will establish himself as maybe the best interior pass rusher in the country.
Yeah, All-American.
He's on the way for that. We've got more bold predictions coming, and then a look to see, again, we asked in the preseason if Ohio State would win the national title. We'll see if anybody's feelings have changed since August. As we hit the midway point, we're going to take a quick break, as we always do on Freaky Friday, to put the spotlight elsewhere on campus for Ohio State. Let's do that right now. All right, everybody, it's a Freaky Friday tradition to take a look elsewhere on campus at Ohio State. This is not just the football show, and now this will be the third time that the Ohio State women's volleyball team has been gracious enough to swing by. Today, we have Janasia Moore and Sarah Sue Morbitzer from the number 6 team in the country. They've spent 90% of the year on the road, but they are back at home on Saturday at 5 o'clock against Rutgers. They've already played this week. They won at number 10 Minnesota. Yet another road game. Sarah Sue, you guys have to be tired of this road grind, don't you?
Oh my God, it's been a lot. It was a long September, but we were very excited to be back home this weekend. And last weekend at Cavelli was awesome, but definitely a long September.
Janasia, had you all forgot what it was like to be at home in the Cavelli Center?
Low key, I personally was like, wow, like it's very electric, but it was great to see everybody there. We love the fans. We love seeing our family coming back in town. So it was really fun.
All right. I think there was a lot of pin-up energy for you all to be back at home, and probably for the fans as well. It was a great atmosphere. And another one Saturday afternoon again against Rutgers. Sarah Sue, when you look at this run and all those road games and the big wins that you guys had, a bunch of them against top 10 teams, including one again on Wednesday, as I said, a sweep against Minnesota. What all have you learned about your team through this part of it after all those road journeys and the wins you've had that maybe you all didn't know in August?
Yeah, I think we've been learning a lot about staying in the moment. We have a tendency to look at the outcome of things and get ahead of ourselves. But the last few games, we've done a great job of just staying in the moment, point by point, and we've had some big wins.
I think, Janasia, that was the point of this aggressive schedule that Jay Flo put together for you all, that you wanted to be put in tough situations, I assume, and you got them, and you learn along the way. What did you think was the most important part of that sort of rough stretch or road grind, or however you guys put it, that you went through?
Yeah, I definitely think JFO put us in a really good position of just like putting us with really top-notch opponents. And I think it puts no fear in our hearts. Like we go into every game and we're just like, okay, what do we need to do? We got it. And we just go after it. So I think that like preseason and just like being on the road grind, like that really helped us a lot, just mentally staying locked in.
So I've asked this and I was like, well, what does the volleyball team do to build that team chemistry on the road? And like the last time we really updated, the Buckeyes had just sort of started that. So what was it like, those team bonding moments for you all? What did you like to do when you got some moments? I obviously perfected it by Wednesday night, but like, what do you all like to do together on the road?
I think we just love spending time together. We were talking about it today, actually, at practice, how we're just such good friends off the court, and we spend so much time off the court on road trips, but we enjoy every single moment. And I think our seniors have done a great job of just staying in the moment and bringing us all together like constantly. So I think we're just a really close-knit team.
Yeah, and I would say to add on to that, I think we all have the same kind of sense of humor. So like if one person says something, like we're all going to entertain that thing. It's just fun. We just have a good time together. So.
Well, the thing about inside jokes is like we wouldn't get them because we're not there, but I imagine there's a huge volume of them for a team that's on the road as much as you all have been.
There are a ton.
Okay, so what is the most fun celebration that you all have cooked up for big points, big aces? What, you all have so much in the bag. Sarah Sue, what's your favorite celebration for the Buckeyes?
So I think I'm passing it on to Anna McClure, but last year when we get a big block, we used to lift me up in the air. Everyone spin me around, toss me in the air. It was kind of scary at times. But I've seen the court more this year, and I think I'm going to pass the baton to Anna. So she's still a little scared about it, but she'll get it down eventually.
Well, yeah, I wasn't sure if that was actually your favorite or not, because I remember you being an active participant in them. And yeah, probably to get on the court and out of the air was a big relief.
Yeah, it was definitely fun off the court. We had a ton of fun on the bench, but I'm super excited playing this year.
Janasia, you are third on the team in points, I believe, at this point of the season. When you deliver an absolutely perfect spike, hit, I don't know, that's probably the actual term for it. What does it feel like?
Honestly, it's intense. It's a lot of emotions going through me. I'm just like, heck yes, that's a nice way of saying it. But I think just turning around, looking at my teammates, and they all high-five me really aggressively, I'm just like, let's go. Like, keep that fire. Let's just keep building on it. So it's really, really fun.
All right. That's been going well. All right. Before you go, this has been the tradition all year for every sport. Now that name, image, and likeness is allowed, and you all get to take part in shows like this, like it's fun. I just wonder, like, if you got to pick anywhere in Columbus, whether that's food or clothes or wherever that you got to strike a deal with, who should be your NIL sponsor? Sarah Sue, we'll start with you.
That's a good question. Well, I was thinking you're going to ask like anywhere.
Okay. Yeah. Anywhere. Do it. There's no rules.
Okay. Me and Kylie are obsessed with popcorn. So Garrett's Popcorn in Chicago.
Garrett's Popcorn. Okay.
Like, if they ever see me, I'm obsessed with you and I would love some popcorn.
All right. There's a good place called, I think it's Al's up where I live in Northwest Columbus, same style. So if we can't get the national one from Chicago, we'll just, there you go. Well, who's the cat? We've never had a cat appear on the show.
That's my cat. He just jumped on the desk.
That's a first. See?
That's a first. Yeah, I bet.
Anyway, we'll pop over down on Bethel Road here in Northwest Columbus. We'll see if we can get you a popcorn deal. Janasia, I know you're racking your brain. Who do you want signing you to an NIL deal?
Well, I would say I'm a really big shoe fan. Like, I'm a sneakerhead. I would say Soul Stop. That's a really nice sneaker store.
Jen, do you know my friend from high school? That's the owner. I know the owner. Oh, yeah. What? He's in high school.
We're making deals. We're making. This was the perfect one. I have the popcorn set up. Sarah Sue knows the owner down there for the shoes. This turned out to be the perfect. Look around campus. All right. Thank you both for popping in for a couple minutes. The Buckeyes, they've been like 90% of the year on the road. This is only the fifth home match of the season. I think you've got 3 or 4 of them in a row coming, an opportunity to get comfortable at the Covelli Center again. First one is Saturday, 5:00 against Rutgers, and then a couple more opportunities to see, again, the number 6 team in the country and on the rise. A bunch of wins piling up against ranked opponents for these Buckeyes. Don't miss it. That's Sarah Sue and Janasia. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
All right, back to the rest of Freaky Friday. All right, welcome back. Thanks again to the volleyball team for appearing and donating some of their time so we can talk about another one of the best teams on campus, to go back to one on a collision course, trying to get back to the college football playoff. Dive back into bold predictions, and Berm has number 3.
Number 3 is that 2 Ohio State offensive linemen will be first-team All-Americans. Paris Johnson and DeJuan Jones will be first-team All-Americans, and both of them will be first-round picks on the heels of that season. So I think you could pick any one of those guys at this point, and what we've seen as good as they played. I don't think that Donovan Jackson will earn it just because he's still young or less known nationally. But I think the DeJuan Jones hype train is picking up a lot of steam. You start to see every week the NFL draft analysts, as they break down Ohio State's game, getting more and more enamored with DeJuan and what he's doing physically and what he is physically. And I think that generally leads to some votes coming in from people that you maybe otherwise wouldn't expect it. So both of those guys will be first-team All-Americans at tackle as Justin Fry's resume gets padded pretty significantly.
I'm not saying this to edit your pick, but I have a suspicion that Luke Whippler has the best chance outside of Paris Johnson of being an All-American, because people want to put a center. They don't require you always to do that on every team that you vote for All-American. Sometimes they say 5 linemen, which I think is dumb. But the ones that want a center, I think they say, well, Ohio State is the best scoring offense in the country. They don't have any known snap issues. Who's the guy in the middle who's anchoring that? They don't give up any sacks. The pass protection is great. They run the ball. And, the center's probably pretty good. We'll put Luke Whippler in there. I think that will probably be the case based on my experience with voting, but we'll see.
And I'd be fine with that too. I'd be fine with that too, and especially specifically because Luke introduced us to Lemon Perf, and I feel like he's earned that right just for telling us about Lemon Perfect at check-in day back in August, and it's been a pretty important development this season.
Yeah, Lemon Perf, get at us, girl. We need you. We need you on the podcast. Burma, are you going to go through this whole episode and just not even use one sound drop now? Like you're that chastened by what happened a week ago?
Are you sure that I'm not?
I don't know. We've made it through 18 minutes, it says.
Or I'm waiting for the exact right time.
Okay. Well, that has really thrown me off my game here. Now I can't even remember what my third bold prediction was because I'm so rattled by what's happening here. Bill, can you go real quick so I can come up with something spicy?
I can go. So I have a question first. So I have a bold prediction about Ohio State's postseason path. Should I save that for the last part and give a more team specific bold prediction for this one?
I'd say that's entirely up to you.
Yeah, we don't have rules here.
I'll give my team specific one. Ohio State will finish the season averaging 53 points per game, solidifying itself as the best offense, I guess, in the history of college football. Like in that discussion we talk about, like with LSU in 19 and Alabama in 2020, Ohio State will outscore both of those teams. The record is like something crazy that like Army did back when teams didn't throw the ball. But I think the record in the last decade is like 52. So I think this Ohio State offense tops those two prolific historic offenses that they've seemingly have been compared to the last few years, and stamps itself as the best with 53 points per game, which is another way of saying like they're about to really take off because they're only averaging, I think, not only, but they're averaging 48 and change right now.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to go up because they're just going to start laying up the scoreboard when they get Jackson back and they get more healthy on the offensive side of the ball.
I mean, on the flip side of that, they have a much tougher defensive teams ahead. So if they reach that, I think that they will certainly.
And Maryland. Guess people. I was like, people didn't like it that you said that Maryland wasn't good. I was like, so they're not.
Your personal opinion about Mike Locksley as a coach, I think, belies the truth that Maryland has a fairly talented roster compared to the rest of the Big Ten that's not Ohio State, Michigan, or Penn State.
So should that roster be more or less likely to beat Purdue?
They should be, but again, because Mike Locksley is not a very good coach, things happen. But I'm saying when you get into one-on-one situations, Maryland has guys that can win more so than 80% of the Big Ten does against Ohio State. So that's where I'm saying they're not as bad as you want them to be, but also they're not as good as they could be because Mike Locksley is not a very good game day coach. So anyway, it's your third prediction time, and I don't think we're talking about Maryland. So let's get to it.
Yeah. So my problem was, and I should have written it down. Bill actually prepares much better than the rest of us, but it wasn't a real stat. That's why it didn't log in my brain. JT Tuimoloau will draw one holding penalty in the second half of the season. I don't know what game. I should drill down, but I just can't. These referees are too unpredictable. Like they don't want to. They're not going to. You can pull the jersey right off of his body. They're not going to call a holding in almost every case. I didn't know that those rules had been changed, that it was legal because he's so dominant and so productive, and collapsing so many pockets and flying around the edge that, the only fair way in Big Ten play was to just let offensive tackles just bear hug him and bring him to the ground. But there's going to be one that's going to be so egregious that the officials will throw a flag in the second half of the season, and JT Tuimoloau will get to celebrate, and I'll drill down. He'll pick up the flag and he'll throw it in the air and he'll celebrate like LeBron before a game, and then he'll get flagged for that. But it won't matter because everyone will be so relieved that they finally called a holding penalty on a Big Ten team.
I think they got one called against Michigan State for a tackle of JT. So, your numbers are right in line with the average. One for every 6 games.
I think it defies belief to me. I know that you can't call holding on every single play, which like you could if you wanted to, but we've seen this for several years, like with Ohio State defensive ends, and you, Berm, have a dozen pictures of Zach Harrison's jersey being pulled 3 feet behind him like a tail, and no flags anywhere in sight. It doesn't make any sense to me why you're just allowed to do that to Ohio State.
It's the Will Smith Senior Award is what I call it, because this started 20 years ago when Will Smith was leading the Ohio State defense to a national championship in 2002, like every play. And then it went from him to like John Simon, who had to deal with it. And then obviously the Bosa's and Chase. It's just Vernon Golston went through it a lot, and he still obviously got a lot of sacks, but like it is pretty crazy. And I know that every team, but every fan base out there is like, well, our guys get held all the time too. But like, these are like 4 guys all being held at one time, the exact same amount. And that's what makes it crazy to me. But officials don't care because the Buckeyes are winning by 30 and they just want to go home.
Yeah, well, and that's fair too. We don't want to spend all day in the press box while they tally up the number of flags, but they should throw one just to send a message. Maybe it will be on Iowa, and then we'll just get that out of the way in a hurry. I doubt it though, because Brian and Kirk Ferentz coach the best offensive lines in the country, right? That's true.
I think it'll be Maryland.
Oh, I love that. They're poorly coached. What's going to happen in the postseason for Ohio State? Will they win the college football playoff and climb back to the mountaintop in this fine sport that we cover, Bill?
I think they will, yes. And so my bold prediction on top of that is that they will win a national championship without having to beat an SEC team to do so.
Oh, my.
Yeah. You're going to love this one. You're going to love this one, Austin.
Oh, let's hear it.
So they're going to beat Clemson in the national championship.
Okay.
In the semifinals, they're going to beat Texas.
What? No. What? We were just in the car talking about this on Saturday.
Yeah.
You've turned on me.
Texas is getting in. Quitting the boys versus Ohio State. We'll call it probably in the Fiesta Bowl. It's going to be a banger. But Ohio State's going to win. And then they're going to beat Clemson in the national championship in Los Angeles.
What the hell? That would have been such a good time for a sound drop, Berm.
Yeah. Nope, not today. Today's a serious show.
How is this going to happen? I don't understand.
They're going to win out.
Okay.
They're going to win out convincingly. Their loss to Texas Tech will be wiped away because Quinn Ewers didn't play. Okay. And I think the committee will be able to talk themselves into the idea that they were competitive with Alabama when Quinn was on the field, and they were competitive kind of regardless in that close game. And I guess they'll need some help. They'll get some help in the form of 2 Alabama losses.
So I did actually talk about this scenario. I'll help. I'm gonna jump in and help you with this part of it. If Tennessee beats Alabama this week, it gets pretty difficult to concoct a scheme for 2 SEC teams to get in, because let's assume someone's going to have to win the Tennessee-Georgia game. And out of those 3 teams, the only ones that we can realistically call contenders to go to the college football playoff, right? Like, there's going to be 2 guaranteed losses there, and a possibility that they would all cancel each other out so that you couldn't get 2 through. Tennessee beating Alabama creates a problem. Alabama then conceivably still wins the West, but then could lose again to either Tennessee or Georgia. If not, Alabama would have a loss to Tennessee in the regular season, and you'd say, well, they can't get in over Texas or whoever in this scenario that you're playing out. They look pretty terrible in that game, and to Texas A&M. Alabama, I know Berm is shuddering over there that Bama's going to get the benefit of the doubt no matter what. In this season, I don't see how that's possible. Even with the Bryce Young stuff, he was healthy against Texas. They should have lost that game, deserved to lose. The Texas A&M game that we all just saw bailed out. Now he didn't play in that game, but this has not been a remove all question about Nick Saban's season for the Crimson Tide. They have not been very good.
My thought is this: if Alabama wins tomorrow against Tennessee and Bryce Young plays, if he plays, I think they will probably win. I think maybe there's some gamesmanship about how hurt he is right now, and I guess we'll see that on Saturday. If they beat Tennessee and then they don't lose until losing to Georgia in the SEC championship game, both those teams will get in. And then all this is moot. So if that happens Saturday, I think this is irrelevant and impossible to get to. So
well, sure. Of course it is.
Sure.
But that's not what's going to happen. They're going to lose to Tennessee. They're going to lose to Georgia. Georgia's going to beat Tennessee, but then also lose to Mississippi State so that Georgia can be the 2 and play Clemson and lose to Clemson. So Ohio State can be the 1 and beat Texas in the semifinals. It's
so
all.
Who does
the
USC
plan's coming
lose
together.
to?
UCLA. They're going to.
Who does UCLA lose to?
I don't know. Pick a team.
Because they have to lose for Texas to get in as well.
Yeah, they'll lose.
Okay.
It's his bold prediction.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I'm the one that brought it up in the car on the way home on Saturday. I thought, I could see a scenario where Texas gets in because there is going to be a little bit of a fascination around them, and you see the interest of what Quinn is doing down there and how he's throwing the ball. And people are going to want to drum up that matchup potentially between Ohio State and Texas for that very purpose. So, I mean, I'm not entirely against it. Ohio State is the odds-on favorite to win the national championship. I think Ohio State is the best team in the country, the most complete team in the country right now. I think that we're going to find out a whole heck of a lot more about how tough they are in these next 6 weeks, but I think that this team is ready for that, and I think that they're going to win the national championship. I'm not saying that as a homer. I legitimately believe right now they're the best, most complete team in the country, but we're also going to know a whole heck of a lot more about this team in about 15 days. When they play at Penn State. So I reserve the right to change my mind.
And you can. You don't have to lock yourself in every single week. Yeah.
No, you're locked in.
But this is your midseason bold prediction. That one is locked in. So you're stuck there. If you want to change it later on to hedge your bets.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what that means.
Still no rules.
But
that's right. Sorry.
I'm not going to do that either. I'm just saying right now, it's hard to look around the landscape of college football and see anybody who's been more consistent, who's more talented, and who has played, at a higher level than Ohio State has this year. So if that's how we determine if they win the national championship, then yes, they will win the national championship as long as they're able to stay healthy.
Ohio State is the best team in America, as you said. Right now, they're the most complete. They're about to get even more complete when they get back to full
completer.
Health. They can be more completer. I believe that Ohio State is going to win the national championship, and they will win every game this season by a double-digit margin. And then they will go down in history. As Berm said earlier in the week, every national champion is now regarded as the greatest one of all time. But I think this is a pretty special team. We'll have to actually see if that transpires before any of that conversation can actually happen. But the rate that they're on, the way that they're playing, with the improvements they've made defensively to balance out this offense, like I can't really remember much like it. Now the 2019 team was pretty similar, and I thought they were on pace to win against Clemson by double digits before the world tilted on its axis and Birmingham became involved in Birmingham, Alabama became involved in the outcome of that game. I think they would have beat LSU after that, and they deserve to beat Clemson. So Ryan Day needs his national championship, and he can talk about respecting the game against lesser opponents all he wants. But once it gets to the end of the year, I think that he will disrespect Michigan at every opportunity he can, and he will push the envelope in the postseason to get that job done and win every game this season by double-digit margin.
Yep.
I had to give my path for the championship. You guys didn't give your path. Who they're going to beat?
I think Clemson will be the 4. I don't know. Their schedule is so weak.
I think they're going to have to play Alabama in the first round of the playoff, and so I think that Georgia will beat Alabama in the SEC championship game. And if that's the case, well,
I don't think 2 SEC teams are getting in this year.
I hope you're right. Let's just say that. Who they play, I think it's Bama first. I think they're going to have to beat both SEC teams to win the national championship. So, because that's what America decides. America is not going to allow a national championship game to happen without an SEC team in it. If both SEC teams somehow knock themselves out before then, we will see college football petition to increase the playoffs to 8 teams. This year, like whoa. Let's not wait till next year. Wow, rules don't matter.
I think they will play Clemson in the semifinal. They will get true redemption to echo 2019. They'll play Clemson in the Fiesta Bowl. They will just absolutely dog walk Dabo around. There'll be no need for any officiating dilemmas after that game. That one will be done. And then they will play Georgia in Los Angeles to crown their championship campaign.
Okay,
I like
it's
it.
settled.
Sounds fun to me. Let's cover it.
Let's do it.
I also predict that Bill will not cover the playoff.
Solid prediction.
Sorry
On
about
the
that.
road.
Yeah.
He'll be providing on-the-ground coverage from Columbus, right? That's
right.
okay.
With a baby on his hip.
You don't put newborns on your hip, Berm.
What?
No.
Eh.
Sorry. Yeah. Sorry. Only I can give that insight here.
I have 3 dogs.
Yeah. Do you carry them on your hip?
Sometimes.
Okay. Do you have nothing that you want to play for our audience before we leave?
Nah, I just want everyone to have a nice weekend, and enjoy a chance to sit back and watch. Saturday's game slate is insane, and I hope everyone finds themselves doing what I am confident the 3 of us will be doing, which is enjoying it from the couch with perhaps some adult beverages. Maybe throw on the Phils game every once in a while just to check out what's happening with Bill's Phils, and just enjoy the weekend. It's gonna be a heck of a good time.
Sometimes it's like you don't know me at all.
Oh yeah, I forgot you're gonna be F1 racing or something. It's gonna be weird.
No, there's no F1 race this week.
I know you're going to a pumpkin patch. Cool. Going to the zoo.
0 for 3. He doesn't know me at all. Wow. We're gonna have to have some relationship counseling.
My apologies for thinking that you would be watching college football on Saturday.
Well, what a Saturday morning! I'm not. I'm gonna go play golf.
Well, I guess.
Duh.
But you should be home by the time the games begin, roughly.
We'll see.
I'll be watching football, and
Same.
on the Horseshoe Lounge message board over at OhioState.Rivals.com, and I'll probably spend a lot of the weekend talking about those other games there. So join us, won't you?
That sounds fun.
Join
Okay,
us.
have a great weekend, everybody. Whatever you choose to do with it, that's up to you. And we hope you enjoyed a soundboard-free edition of Bold Predictions on the podcast. The Daily will be back on Monday. We will see you then.
Just kidding. I don't have any. Bye.